Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Now, I've been riding the new R1300GS as my daily rider since about December, and I use it for all sorts of stuff, so daily local rides. I've done a little tour to Wales, I do filming on it and all sorts of stuff. And one of the things that's very important for me is to be able to carry stuff. As you can see, this one is fitted out with the new luggage that BMW have redesigned. This is the Vario cases. I used to have the old Vario cases on my R1300GS, which I used for 10 years, so I knew the old luggage very well, and now having ridden this bike for what, 3 or 4 months, I'm getting to know these pretty well as well. So they've redesigned them, they've got all sorts of new features. The question is, are they any good? So in this video we'll take a close look at the Vario side cases and the top box. We'll talk through the features and functions. I'll maybe do a bit of a comparison with them against the old Vario luggage and kind of see what we think of them. Right, let's crack on with it. So just before we get into looking in detail and close up at the new panniers, I've just rolled in my my old GS and its old Vario luggage just to show you sort of a comparison of what they look like. So there we go. That's what they look like on the old GS, and here we go with the design of the new ones on the new GS on the same screen. So I think the new ones actually look okay. They've got a more modern look about them, haven't they, for sure. These are a bit bland boxes. These are a bit more interesting. So first off, on the looks, I think they look all right. Next thing to note with the new panniers is that they actually house an electrical connection. Just under here, there's a connection just there that as you put the panniers on and off, I'll show you that in a minute, it connects onto. And that means you've got USB charging and you've got a light inside the pannier as well. In fact, let me mount the camera on the tripod, I'll open it up and I'll show you. Right, in fact, having mounted it on the tripod, I want to actually show you how you unlatch these. So let me just lift this up. I might not be able to do this with one hand, but basically, can you see there's a little latch just here? You pull that, or you press it rather, up you lift that, and then there's a little button here. You press that, and then the thing opens. And then inside, if I just, in fact, if I just turn the bike on, there you go. Now there's some ignition. You can see that the light has come on in the pannier there. So quite handy. I mean, you know, if you're going in and out of your panniers at night, it's handy to have a light, isn't it? I can't say as I've ever missed one previously, but there we go. It's in there, so that's got to be a good thing. And then the other thing is they are Vario, meaning that you can adjust the capacity of the case. So if we look at it from the side, there we go. There. Can you see that sort of distance there? Well, if you wind this little knob here, you can make it grow somewhat. That's what it means by Vario pannier. There you go. If I go all the way out, there we go. You can see you've gained, I don't know, 2 inches of depth there, which just gives you that little bit more, whoops, that little bit more capacity inside the pannier. Very clever stuff. And then obviously to shrink it back, you just wind it back in again. Now, I don't know, I mean, that's nice and easy to wind at the moment, but I don't know how over time that mechanism is going to last. It feels a little bit flimsy to me, but I don't know. I mean, the ones on my Vario cases on the old GS, they're still going strong, but they have got a bit stiffer over time. For comparison, I'll show you how they used to work. So here you go. In the old days, these are the old Vario panniers. You'd press that button there, lift it, and then you would press that one there, if I remember right. There we go, to open it. And then inside the pannier, I'll just move the camera slightly. There we go, hope you can see that all right. In these, you'd have this bar here, which you would move. And it is a bit sticky on mine, as you can see. And it would extend the pannier out again, and then you can see you've got this extra depth here, similar sort of extension. So quite clever, even on the old ones, but arguably the new ones look a bit neater for sure. So one of the other features that BMW make great play of when they launched this bike and these new panniers was the fact that this and the top case are all centrally locked, and you can basically, when you turn the bike on, it unlocks all the cases, or you can use the remote control. There's a little blipper button there to unlock them as well. So at the moment the bike is off, so they are locked. If I turn the bike on, you should be able to hear, there you go, did you hear that noise? That was these unlocking, so then you can get into the things, hopefully, well, maybe not one-handed, but they are unlocked now. And then just to show you on the key fob, which I've got in my pocket here, you've got this little button here. Can you see that? And that, if I turn the bike off again, so you hear them lock again, and then if I want to unlock them without turning the bike on, you can do it. I didn't realise this until fairly recently. You can just use that button. There you go. So quite clever, the central locking, I guess. Right, let me show you the top box then. Similar sort of principle for mounting and so on, and indeed for opening. So you've got this little button here, you do that, bring that down, and then with the top box, there's a button at the bottom here. You press that, and then the whole thing lifts up like that, and it's on a little hydraulic strut, which is quite neat. In this one, I think there's a light as well. Yes, there's a light there, but we're not switched on at the moment, so it's not actually glowing, but if the ignition was on, it would be there. And there you can see a USB port as well, which would be super handy for charging your phone or cameras or whatever. This too is a variable or a Vario case. So at the moment, this is in its low position. And a bit like with the side cases, to wind it up or down, there's a winder just here. Look, you give that a twiddle. In fact, you pull it out, I think. There you go. And then you give it a twiddle, and you can extend or retract. So that's extending now. It takes quite a bit of winding to get any extension going, but there we go. And when I get to the end of the travel, there we go, which is there. Push that down again. You can see that we've extended by about, I don't know, if you look at this bit here, 3 inches maybe there. So again, quite useful to gain a little bit of extra capacity. But I would say once again, particularly this one, just feels a little bit flimsy when you use it. So don't know what the long-term sort of longevity of that's going to be, but yeah, a bit flimsy, but quite clever. I don't know any other manufacturer that does that sort of thing. But yeah, nice looking box. It seems quite small inside, but in fact, I think capacity-wise, it's slightly bigger than the old one. Let me get my notes. I'll tell you how big these cases are compared to the old ones. So capacity-wise, I made some notes here so I don't get this wrong. The old Vario panniers in total had total volume, a maximum total volume when they're all extended of 104 litres on the old bike. The new bike has a total volume when they're all extended of 98 litres on the new bike. So this is, what's that, 6 litres less overall than on the old bike. Although they do vary a bit depending on you know, between the panniers and the top box. So for example, the old top box had a maximum literage of 35 litres. This one, when it's extended, goes to 36. So it's actually, when full extended, slightly more capacious than the old one, which surprised me because that looks quite a bit bigger. And then with regards to this side panniers, the new panniers are 30 and 32 litres when fully extended. The old ones were 29 and 39 litres when fully extended, so one was bigger, one was smaller. So it's all much of a muchness in terms of capacity, although the new set is slightly smaller capacity when fully extended, but it's there's not an awful lot in it, to be honest. Actually, just before we get off the subject of capacity, I know people often ask, can you get crash helmets in top box and stuff? In reality, when you're touring, you never put your crash helmet in your top box because you've got your kit in it. But anyway, it seems to be a sort of a demo that people do, so I'll do it anyway. So this is the smallest helmet I've got, which is an Array Rebel. That, as you can see, fits in there. By the way, I've extended this to its maximum extent, so that fits in there absolutely fine. There's no way you'll get 2 in, but certainly that fits in there. A more typical helmet for the Beamer would be the Tour X4, which is one of these. Does that fit in? And again, it looks like, yeah, with it extended, you can get an Array Tour X4 in there as well. So if that's important to you, helmet, no problem in there. All right, one other thing to just show you before we get into the pros and cons and how I found these practically on the road in use and that sort of thing over the last few months is actually putting these on and off the bike, and I'll show you that electrical connection too. So to do that, obviously it has to be unlocked. So we'll turn the bike on. There we go, to make absolutely sure they're unlocked. And then the key fob has an actual proper key, which you have to put here into the release position, which I think is there. Then what you can do is press this little button here and lift this little tab up here, fully up like that. And then this comes out, and then I think you can just lift them off. There we go, like so. And there we can see that electrical connection that I was talking about. Now, in fact, I'll just hold that up so you can see it. There we go. Now, in holding that up, I can tell that this is a very heavy pannier to start with. I haven't actually weighed them, bit remiss of me, but even empty with nothing in it, that is a heavy old lump of kit, and which is one of the reasons why I stopped using my Vario cases on my 1200, because they're just heavy even where they're empty. So that's one thing to be aware of. I'll just show you put them back on again. I might regret this, but it's just the reverse of taking them off, obviously. But with these, you have to obviously not only line up the mounting lugs here and here, but also the electrical socket. So it can be quite fiddly, but it is doable. So let's give it a try, see if I can make it look easy. There you go, that's gone on there quite well, down there, and then that goes down like that, and then key out. There we go, and that's it, put back on again. I've taken those on and off several times. Sometimes it goes on relatively easy as that does, sometimes it's a right old faff, I have to say. All right, so much for features and functions of the top boxes. That's how they look and how they operate, that sort of thing. What are they actually like in the real world? I have been using them, as I say, for the last few months. I've made some notes about the pros and cons, so let's go through those now. So first off, the pros. Central locking is a good idea in principle. It does catch me out occasionally when I think they're locked, they're unlocked and vice versa, but I think it's just a matter of getting used to them. In principle, it's a great idea that you can lock all the boxes with the one key, so that's good. Or indeed, turning the bike on and off locks them, so that's good stuff. USB charging as well in the top box, great idea, as are the lights. I quite like all that, I have to say. And also, I think overall the looks of these new boxes, definite improvement on the old Vario cases. So I think that's all the pros. Right, moving on to the cons then. First thing is, very expensive, these boxes, as you probably would guess. That top box, £553.51 is what I found it for. And you have to get a top box plate to mount that on, which is 121. So what's that, 670 quid by the time you got the top box on? The panniers, the pair, £894. So if you buy the whole lot, you want the luggage that you see on here, that's £1,568.23. A lot of money in anyone's book, but luggage for some reason is always expensive. So yeah, quite expensive. Next up, very heavy, as I said, even when empty. The top box is heavy as well as the side cases. You can get inner bags that of course adds more weight to the whole situation, not a lot, but then just reduces the amount you can get in them. Again, I've been down that route with my old Vario cases, so don't go there. But yeah, heavy boxes when they're on the bike, even when they're empty, you notice you've got the boxes on. Next thing I've said here, fiddly to take on and off with electrical connection. Well, as you just saw, it's not always fiddly, but sometimes it can be. It just depends on the luck of the draw as to whether they come on and off easily or not. I made that look easier than I normally do, I'm glad to say. Capacity-wise, I said in total, they're 6 litres less than the old one. I don't find they've got great capacity. It might just be that I'm spoilt because I'm used to using other bikes with bigger top boxes and pannier combos, but I don't think there's an awful lot of capacity there, particularly if there are two of you touring. You're going to have to pack very, very carefully with them. What else? Only waterproof with the liner in, according to BMW, so you've got to buy those liners if you want to be absolutely sure that they're waterproof, so that's something to bear in mind. Although I haven't said that, my old ones, they seem to be waterproof even when I didn't use the inner box thing. So maybe that's one of those, they're just covering themselves things, I'm not so sure. Next up, I've said here, the Vario mechanism seems a bit flimsy. It was the case on the old ones, as you saw. The new one's a different mechanism, but it's still a little bit flimsy. So don't know how that'll work out over time. And the other thing I've noticed here actually is I don't think they're that very hard wearing. These ones have already got a few scratches on. I haven't done them, I must say. This is obviously a press setup and somebody's borrowed the bike and these before I had it, but these are already quite scratched. And on this side, down here, there are a few marks on it as well. I'll take some B-roll and show you while I'm talking, but they're basically, I think it's where somebody's boot has been hitting it when they've been getting a passenger on and off or something. But yeah, so that's, jury's out on how hard wearing they are. All right, let's talk summary then, having used these new panniers on the new R1300GS for the last few months. Well, as you may have gathered from this sort of review, I'm a bit kind of meh about them. And I'm a bit, to be honest, a bit meh about the old Vario panniers too. I just found on the old bike they were too heavy and too much faff. I ended up just using the top box and a roll bag whenever I went on tour. Obviously, you can't do that if there's two of you, but that's what I did solo. And I think in the case of the new bike, I'd probably be tempted to do the same. For me, panniers have to be capacious, i.e. you can carry a lot of stuff, and they have to be lightweight. Things like the USB charging and the light and what have you is all very well, but they don't actually score on the being lightweight and being capacious in the first place. So those nice to haves kind of, you know, don't make up for the basics not being quite right. So I think if I were to get some luggage for a new GS, I mean, they do look nice. I mean, you could, if you really love the looks of them, go for it in that sense, and the central locking, I guess, is quite handy. But I would rather have something that's big, lightweight, probably do away with the faff of the central locking and the difficulty of getting them on and off, to be honest. And I would just go for some sort of Charlie and Ewan-esque big aluminium top-loading top boxes. I don't know if any are available yet. I don't know if BMW make them. I'm sure they'll be coming along when they come out with a new adventure and so on. And I'm sure you can get aftermarket ones for these as well. But I think I would probably go down that route rather than the complexity, faff, weight and expense of the Vario panniers. So sorry, BMW. Don't think they're for me. All right, that's it for this time from the Missenden Man Cave. Hope you enjoyed that video. There'll be loads more coming on the new GS in due course, so if you're interested in the bike, do stick around and stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and I'll speak to you on the next video. Until then, this has been the Missenden Flyer. Cheerio.
Hey kids, we're the Missenden Flyers.